Hey, James. James! I know you can hear me. Get down here. It's time for your part of the story.
I'm coming. Just give me a second. Sorry, I was in the middle of packing.
Excuses. Sit down and tell your piece. I'm gonna stretch my legs. I'll be back when you're done.
Don't mind her. She can get a little grouchy when she's tired. But she has warmed up considerably since I first met her. That was almost nice.
I heard that.
Anyway, on to my part of the story before Viv comes to throw something at me. That's one of the ways she shows affection. With me specifically. And she will do it again if I don't get on with it. So, let's get to it. I've never shared this story with anyone. After being sent off on my so-called mission to observe and report any Fae movements in the neutral zone, no one ever asked, so I saw no need to fill in the details beyond what everyone assumed. I had heard stories of people discovered to have Fae heritage being offered a chance to prove their loyalty. But until that day, I never expected to witness such a thing, much less experience it myself. Vivian was not exaggerating when she said every facet of the human kingdom was focused on war. I grew up a day's walk from the capital city, and the war shaped every part of my life. Every single citizen was expected to contribute something to the effort, be it their knowledge, their skills, or their lives. I was fortunate in that my family had earned itself a place of some import long before I was born. I would not have called us wealthy by any means, but now I know we were better off than most. Many in my family were skilled craftsmen, and so they made a name for themselves creating more custom weaponry for the military leadership, as well as some decorative pieces. It earned us a place in society where we were not expected to be common foot soldiers, even if we did not have a talent for crafting weapons. My siblings took to the craft with gusto, but I personally never showed much talent, nor did I enjoy it. I was good enough to create something of satisfactory quality, but I could never do so to my father's expectations. So I began looking for another way to distinguish myself. I was adept at fighting one-on-one, but useless fighting in a group. I was far better at sneaking than I was at fighting. I tried out a few different posts until I found a group that I fit in with. Our job was to sneak around the forest, scouting out relics and other important things, and then secure them for the kingdom. We stayed away from the front lines, occasionally had to deal with Fae that were caught unawares more often than not. And we were rewarded for our finds. Sometimes they would have us seek out medicinal groves, water sources, or rare creatures. We always provided and rarely questioned, because we were paid to do our jobs, not second guess. I was happy with my job. My parents were proud of my contributions to the community, and I was even beginning to make a bit of a name for myself outside my family's name. It was a good time for me, but even the best times come to an end. We had been sent to hunt one of the Twisted Ones, who was wandering too close to a settlement for our comfort. These assignments were not common, but they were incredibly lucrative. So, we accepted it eagerly. We received special weapons and armor that were crafted especially to fight these creatures, and we set off. It did not go well. The creature was much stronger and faster than we anticipated, and the terrain was doing us no favors. Dry, cracked, uneven ground that would shift and crumble at the worst possible moment. We were scattered, trying to keep the creature moving and keep it disoriented when I slipped and fell. Sword clanging out of my hand, the blade skittered across the dirt until it was out of my reach, right as the creature stalked towards me with surprising speed. The others would not be able to get there in time to save me. In a feeble effort to buy myself a few more seconds, I held up my offhand while pulling out my dagger with the other. If it bit my hand off, that would maybe give me a chance to stab it, hopefully somewhere vulnerable, and then maybe it wouldn't kill me. It was a weak plan, but it was all I had at the moment. It crept towards me, snarling and salivating, and in the seconds before it lunged for my outstretched arms, I closed my eyes, not wanting to witness what came next. And yet, nothing did. When I finally gathered enough courage to look, I was shocked to see the creature standing still before me. There was no snarling, no hunger in its eyes. It was almost docile. It did not even flinch when one of the others came up and beheaded it. When they asked me how I did it, I answered honestly that I had no idea. We took what we needed from the creature, and then we left, returning victorious. They sent us out a few more times after that, and each time when I held up my hand, the creature stilled. Some lauded me as a hero, while others eyed me with suspicion. Looking back, I should have hidden my abilities, but the pride in my father's eyes when he looked at me was much too precious. I was bringing honor and acclaim to my family name and doing a great thing for my kingdom. So I clung to that and ignored my doubts. Then, one day, I was arrested. Someone had reported me, and after an investigation, it was confirmed that I was using Fey magic. It came from far, far back in my bloodline, but the power was undeniably Fey. At first, I thought they brought me in to give me a special assignment, as I had been lauded as a hero just days earlier. But that was not the case. They told me they would not execute me for my treason of carrying Fey magic. Instead, they would give me a chance to prove my loyalty. I would be sent out into the neutral zone to act as a spy. I could not believe what I was hearing. That was something that happened to soldiers in the lower ranks, not those with my track record. Not a talented hunter with the ability to bring an end to the Twisted Ones. I tried to convince them that I could be an asset, but they would not listen. I went from a hero to an outsider in less than a day. My father, to say he was disappointed was an understatement. He told me that I was the worst thing that could possibly have happened to our family. My mother, one of the few people in my family who was always supportive of me, said that she was ashamed to have given birth to me. Such hatred is unheard of now. But then, it was as commonplace as drinking tea from a mug. Not a single person protested my expulsion, so much as they protested any association with me. People were kind to me in the neutral zone. They did not press when I dodged the questions about my past, so I did not share the details of what happened. I lived in the background, torn between doing my duty and trying to earn back the place that I had made for myself, or staying in the forest and creating something new. I still had not decided when I stumbled upon two people picking over the remains of a massacre.
We were not picking over the remains.
Sorry, poor choice of phrasing. Looting their corpses. Long story short, I lost everything. But in the end, that put me on a path where I gained so much more than the temporary fame that I had. This was the story I told them after we dealt with the Twisted Ones at the crossroads. And they were some of the first people I ever told.
I'm going to continue to ignore your choice of phrasing. And I'm glad you did tell us, because the only explanations I could think of at the time would have ended up with us leaving you tied up in the woods.
You mean you wouldn't have stabbed me?
I never said that. You have been listening to Ceasefire, the story of the end of a war that did not end the world. This story was written and produced by Brianna Jean as part of Pseudonym Social, a creative podcast network changing reality one story at a time. In this episode, you can hear the voices of Brianna Jean as Vivian, David Telstra as James. You can support all of our productions over at patreon.com/pseudonymsocial. To get more information on this or any of our other shows, check out our website at pseudonymsocial.com.